Commander Tarvos of the Asterian Empire gazed smugly at the tactical display aboard his flagship, the Vigilant Dominion. Below, Asterian warships stretched from horizon to horizon of the monitor screen, each a sleek predator crafted from reinforced titanium and quantum-locked armor plating. Solar system primitive species were never much of a challenge. And humans? Laughable. Sir, chirped his aide, Cora. Preliminary scans show technologically primitive infrastructure. We'll be in and out before they even notice. The year was 3100, and the Asterian Empire had conquered dozens of worlds on the galactic rim. Their encounter protocols were simple: overwhelm, intimidate, and integrate. Tarvos had never met resistance that lasted longer than a local afternoon. Through the starboard viewport, the third planet from a modest yellow star shone with a sickly blue marble appearance. There were geometric shapes orbiting it, likely mining or observation platforms. Nothing worth noting. Meanwhile, on the other side of the solar system, Colonel Sophia Reyes commanded the United Earth Nations warship Yuyan Vanguard. Her crew maintained vigilant patrols near Mars's orbit, monitoring deep space signals while keeping the solar system's outer perimeter secure. Like her fellow military officers, Sophia had grown up training for hypothetical alien contact scenarios. First contact protocols demanded caution, but also preparedness to defend human territory with every available resource. The United Earth Alliance had worked too hard building this fragile peace among themselves to let it crumble to outsider threats. Colonel, reported her science officer, Dr. Kenji Ito, we've got multiple bogies entering the outer solar system. They're huge. The Vanguard's long-range sensors tracked enormous vessels decelerating from near-light speeds. These ships dwarfed anything humanity had ever constructed, their energy signatures blazing across every spectrum of the electromagnetic field. Back aboard the Vigilant Dominion, Tarvos issued his standard first contact procedure. Fire a warning shot at that automated platform, he commanded, pointing at a small installation near Jupiter's orbital path. Let's get their attention. The ship's particle lance flared to life. Stellar plasma shot across the void, annihilating the target in microseconds. What Tarvos had assumed was a defunct mining rig had actually been Jupiter Biosphere Research Station Epsilon, home to 247 scientists conducting breakthrough pharmaceutical research. The orbital lab vanished in a cascade of molecular dissociation, taking with it decades of work and hundreds of irreplaceable lives. Tarvos barely blinked. Excellent shot. Now hail whatever communication frequencies these beings use. But Cora's expression darkened as damage assessments filtered through their scanners. Commander, that wasn't automated. There were life signatures aboard when. Irrelevant. Tarvos cut her off. Collateral is expected in first contact scenarios. Compile the report as a regrettable misunderstanding. Humanity's response came faster than expected. Within hours, emergency protocols activated across the solar system. Deep space listening posts had captured the energy discharge, and rescue ships racing to the station's coordinates could only recover scattered debris and frozen corpses. Sophia Reyes stood before the United Earth Nations Security Council, her face carved from granite. They obliterated our research station without provocation, she reported. Over 200 scientists dead. This wasn't an accident. It was a casual demonstration of power. The council erupted in angry debate. Some called for immediate retaliation. Others advocated caution. But the decision ultimately fell to the military command. Humanity would respond with measured force while maintaining defensive preparedness. Colonel, General Miranda Chun ordered, take a battle group to the outer system. Establish a strong defensive perimeter and attempt diplomatic contact. But if they fire first again. Understood, Sophia replied grimly. We'll be ready. As the Vanguard led its battle group into formation, Sophia studied the alien vessels through tactical sensors. The Asterian ships possessed technology obviously decades ahead of humanity's capabilities. Their angular hulls seemed to absorb light itself, and their energy shields pulsed with controlled power that made Earth's fusion reactors look like campfires. But humans had always excelled at improvisation. Dr. Kenji pulled Sophia aside. "I've been analyzing their energy emissions," he whispered. "Their shields operate on a specific frequency modulation. If we could—" "Keep working on it," Sophia interrupted. "We may need every advantage we can get." Tarvos, meanwhile, received updates from Asterian Central Command. Supreme Commander Zelkos demanded a status report. "Human response is as expected," Tarvos assured his superior. "Primitive posturing. They're mobilizing their laughably small fleet. We'll crush them before lunch." Zelkos studied the transmission critically. "Don't underestimate them, Commander. Even primitives can be dangerous when cornered." "Sir, with all due respect, these beings only achieved spaceflight a few centuries ago. Their technology is practically Stone Age compared to ours." Two more Asterian dreadnoughts jump-gated into the solar system as reinforcements. The vast warships, each kilometer-long behemoths bristling with antimatter cannons and graviton distortion fields, took up positions around Neptune. The first direct communication attempt occurred 3 days after the station's destruction. Both fleets maintained tense standoff positions as diplomats attempted to defuse the crisis. "This is Commander Tarvos of the Asterian Empire." The transmission crackled through military channels. "Your research platform's destruction was an unfortunate miscalculation. We seek no further conflict. Surrender administrative control of your system to Asterian oversight, and we will compensate you appropriately." Sophia's knuckles whitened around her command chair arms. "This is Colonel Sophia Reyes of the United Earth Nations. You murdered 247 of our citizens. We demand your immediate withdrawal from our system and an official apology." Tarvos chuckled condescendingly. "Apology? We offer integration into the Asterian Empire, a chance to leapfrog your technological development by millennia. Refuse and what?" Sophia challenged. "You'll blow up more research stations? Kill more civilians? We'll do what we must to maintain galactic order. Your choice is simple: cooperation or consequences." The transmission ended in static. Neither side budged. Over the following week, tensions mounted. The UN prepared defensive installations across the solar system. Asteroid bases converted to fortresses. Lunar facilities repurposed as weapon platforms. The entire asteroid belt became a minefield of dormant satellites and remotely detonated explosives. Cora approached Tarvos privately. "Commander, perhaps we should exercise more caution. These humans seem resourceful." "Resourceful?" Tarvos laughed. "They're playing with lasers while we command antimatter. Look at their pathetic attempts at fortification. Amateur hour." But then the first Asterian casualty occurred. The Vigilant Dominion, along with 2 accompanying ships, entered the asteroid belt seeking to establish a supply route. Suddenly, the surrounding void erupted with projectile fire. Not energy weapons, solid metal fragments accelerated to significant percentages of light speed using makeshift rail guns built from mining equipment. Evasive maneuvers. Tarvos barked as the ship rocked from impacts. Their shields flickered but held, yet damage reports still filtered in. "Sir, they're using our own mass velocity principles against us," reported Cora incredulously. "Just really primitively." More disturbing were the modified nuclear torpedoes that followed. Humanity had taken their oldest weapons and enhanced them with crude but effective proximity sensors. The blasts couldn't penetrate Asterian shields, but the electromagnetic pulses wreaked havoc on exposed sensor arrays. "How are they? These devices should be centuries obsolete." Tarvos sputtered. Unknown to the Asterian fleet, Dr. Kenji had been studying their technology intensively. Working around the clock with humanity's best engineers, he discovered several exploitable weaknesses in their advanced systems. The Asterian shields, while incredibly powerful, relied on continuous frequency modulation to maintain cohesion. Any disruption in that precise pattern could cause temporary failures. "Colonel," Kenji reported exhaustedly, "I've found it. If we can precisely match their shield frequency and simultaneously hit them with a phase-shifted pulse, we can knock out their defenses for approximately 3.2 seconds. 3 seconds, Sophia mused. That's not much time. It's enough time to land a kill shot with our railguns, Kenji assured her. But we'll need perfect timing and coordinated strikes. Humanity implemented a strategy that would have made their ancestors proud. Necessity-driven innovation. They modified commercial mining lasers into ad hoc weapons, redirected communications networks into viral hacking attempts on Asterian systems, even repurposed weather satellites as guided kamikaze drones. The Asterian Empire, accustomed to overwhelming technological superiority, found themselves confounded by humanity's unorthodox tactics. A report reached Supreme Commander Zelkos. Sir, they're attacking us with garbage, enhanced debris, modified civilian technology. And somehow it's working. Zelkos studied the data grimly. Send a full battle fleet. 5 dreadnoughts. This ends now. Word of the escalation reached Earth Command. General Chun convened an emergency session. They're coming with everything, she announced. Intelligence suggests the Asterian Empire has dispatched their regional battle fleet. 5-kilometer-class warships armed with weapons that can shatter moons. Sophia stood resolutely. Then we mobilize everything we have. Every ship, every weapon, every last defense. If they want Earth, they'll have to go through us. Humanity's greatest strength had always been adaptability under pressure. Within 48 hours, the entire solar system transformed into a fortress. Orbital mirrors redirected sunlight into massive death rays. Gravitational assists slung asteroids toward predicted interception points. Even quantum entanglement communicators, normally used for scientific research, transmitted instantaneous firing coordinates across vast distances. The Battle of Earth began at 0400 hours UTC. The Asterian dreadnoughts dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation near lunar orbit. Their massive hulls blocked out stars, their weapons charging with ominous luminescence. Every human installation converged firepower on the invaders. All ships, execute storm protocol, Sophia commanded. The Yuyan Vanguard led the charge, accompanied by hundreds of vessels ranging from military cruisers to armed civilian shuttles. They implemented the coordinated attack Kenji had designed, precisely timed electromagnetic pulses to disrupt shield frequencies, followed immediately by kinetic impactors. Tarvos watched in disbelief as a perfect synchronization of primitive weapons momentarily overwhelmed his flagship's defenses. Human railgun slugs, traveling at relativistic speeds, punched through his ship's armor. Secondary explosions cascaded through multiple decks. Impossible, he roared. Their weapons shouldn't be able to. Sir, they've hacked our navigational systems. Cora shouted. Engines are responding to external commands. Indeed, Dr. Kenji's team had infiltrated the Vigilant Dominion S network through vulnerabilities discovered in captured Asterian databanks. With surgical precision, they disabled the flagship's maneuvering thrusters and targeting computers. The battle raged for hours across orbital space. Both sides suffered tremendous losses. The human cruiser Yuyan Resolute exploded under antimatter fire, taking 15,000 souls with it. An Asterian dreadnought, crippled by coordinated human attacks, collided with a weaponized asteroid and disintegrated. At the height of the battle, Sophia and Tarvos found themselves in direct video communication, their respective bridges damaged but functional. You've proven more resilient than anticipated, Tarvos admitted grudgingly, his usually immaculate uniform scorched and tattered. And you've proven as dangerous as we feared, Sophia retorted. But neither of us can continue like this. Every minute we fight, we both grow weaker. Surrender then. Accept Asterian protection. Never. But, Sophia hesitated. We're receiving strange signals from the outer system. Something even your people haven't detected yet. Tarvos's expression shifted. What kind of signals? Unknown but powerful. And heading this way. While the two commanders argued, Monitoring stations across the solar system detected anomalous readings from beyond Pluto's orbit. The signatures didn't match any known Asterian technology. They were something else entirely. Cora's face paled as she analyzed the data. Commander, these readings, whatever's out there makes our fleet look primitive. Zelko's received similar reports from Asterian deep space probes. An urgent transmission reached all Asterian ships. Unidentified massive signatures approaching from galactic north. Analysis suggests hostile intent. Aboard the damaged, vigilant Dominion, Tarvos found himself at an unprecedented crossroads. Continue fighting humans and risk destruction from this new threat. Or, Colonel Reyes, he said heavily, we may have a mutual problem. An hour later, under a hastily arranged ceasefire, representatives from both sides met aboard a neutral observation platform. Tarvos, humbled by battle damage and emerging threats, extended a formal offer. The Asterian Empire acknowledges miscalculations in our first contact protocols, he stated carefully. We propose immediate cessation of hostilities and joint defense against the approaching anomalies. Sophia studied him carefully. You murdered 247 of our people. You invaded our system with the intent to conquer us. Tarvos struggled with words he'd never expected to say. I was wrong. About humans. About your capabilities. About the wisdom of unprovoked aggression. And what guarantee do we have that this isn't another trick? None, he admitted, except that whatever's approaching from deep space will likely destroy us both if we continue fighting each other. Dr. Kenji interrupted the tense moment. Colonel, I've analyzed those deep space signals. They're using technology we can't even comprehend yet. If they're hostile, Sophia made a command decision that would reshape the solar system's future. We'll accept temporary alliance terms. Exchange of technology, combined defensive planning, and complete Asterian withdrawal from Earth's sphere after the crisis. Agreed, Tarvos nodded. As both fleets began coordinated defensive preparations, neither side could predict that this forced alliance would eventually transform into the foundation of the Terran-Asterian diplomatic accord, or that the mysterious signals would introduce them to the Vex swarm, a threat that would unite former enemies in ways they never imagined. The destruction of Jupiter Research Station had accidentally catalyzed humanity's greatest evolutionary leap, the transition from isolated planetary species to interstellar civilization. And for the Asterian Empire, it taught them a crucial lesson that would echo through their military academies for generations. Never underestimate the species that responds to superior technology with creativity and determination. In the months that followed, as both species worked to decrypt the approaching Vex signals and strengthen their combined defenses, Sophia and Tarvos developed a grudging professional respect. Perhaps they realized arrogance had blinded them both to the fact that the universe was vast enough for many civilizations to coexist. The first joint Asterian human defense platform went operational 6 months after the battle. Humanity contributed their adaptability and innovative engineering. The Asterian provided advanced power cores and shield technology. Together, they created something stronger than either could have achieved alone. You know, Sophia remarked to Tarvos during a tactical planning session, if someone had told me I'd be working alongside the people who destroyed our research station. The past cannot be changed, Tarvos replied somberly. But perhaps the future can be better than we planned. As they studied star charts and defensive positions, neither commander realized that historians would later mark this moment as the true beginning of the galactic age, when ancient tribal instincts finally yielded to cosmic necessity. The final irony was yet to come. When the Vex swarm finally arrived, their first transmitted message would reveal the crucial truth. They had been monitoring both civilizations for decades, waiting for them to prove whether they could overcome their species-specific xenophobia. Congratulations, the Vec would declare. You have demonstrated evolutionary readiness for greater cosmic responsibility. The test of first contact revealed both your species' capacity for growth beyond primitive isolationism. But that revelation lay months in the future. For now, Earth and the Asterian Empire faced an uncertain dawn, bound together by necessity and shared survival. They had learned, at tremendous cost, that in the cosmic perspective, former enemies might become unlikely allies. The destroyed research station stood as a permanent memorial in Earth's orbital traffic, a twisted metal reminder that civilization's greatest leaps often began with its gravest mistakes. In an Asterian space, military academies added a new cautionary principle to their doctrine. Respect all opposition, for today's primitive may become tomorrow's ally, or even your salvation. As the combined fleet prepared for whatever awaited them in the darkness beyond Pluto, both humans and Asterians shared a hard-won understanding. The universe was both infinitely large and surprisingly small, and survival depended not on superiority alone, but on the wisdom to know when to fight and when to embrace former adversaries. The solar system would never be the same. Neither would the Asterian Empire. And somewhere in the cosmic dark, the Vex swarm adjusted their calculations for two species who had passed an unintended but crucial test. Perhaps in the grand tapestry of galactic civilization, every thread, even one torn by conflict, served a purpose in weaving a stronger whole. Here's to unlikely partnerships. Sophia raised a glass in the newly established Joint Command Center. And to the wisdom gained from honest mistakes, Tarvos responded, offering the Asterian equivalent of smile, a gesture of respect his people reserved for worthy adversaries. Beyond their viewport, human and Asterian ships patrolled side by side, watching for the unknown threat that had paradoxically united them. In the reflection of the orbital station's transparisteel, their combined forces appeared not as a temporary alliance, but as something that might, with time and mutual effort, become a genuine coalition. The cosmos, as both species were learning, cared little for pride and prejudice. It rewarded adaptation, cooperation, and the courage to admit when fundamental assumptions needed reassessment. Earth and the Asterian Empire stood together on the precipice of a larger stage, ready or not for what came next. Their war had ended, but their real test was just beginning. And somewhere beyond human comprehension, the Vex swarm continued their approach, satisfied that these two aggressive species had finally learned the universe's most essential lesson. In the face of cosmic challenges, former enemies must become allies, or face extinction separately. The story of how humanity and the Asterian Empire met would become legend, told and retold across countless star systems. But its greatest truth remains simple. Sometimes the best alliances are forged in the fire of conflict, tempered by necessity, and strengthened by shared purpose. The galaxies awaited, vast and infinite with possibility. And now, at last, humanity had found not just survival, but companions for the journey ahead, born not of choice, but of circumstance, yet perhaps all the stronger for it. Tarvos and Sophia stood at the command center's observation deck, watching the combined fleet's formation patterns. Neither spoke of their first encounter anymore. That conversation belonged to the past. Instead, they discussed tactical preparations, technological integration, and the diplomatic protocols needed for whatever lay ahead. The Vec know we're ready when we reach them together, Sophia said quietly. Or they'll know we deserve whatever awaits us. Tarvos replied with grim humor. Their reflection in the viewport showed two figures no longer adversaries, but co-commanders of a fleet born from conflict and necessity. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. The species they'd nearly destroyed had become their greatest hope for survival. As the joint fleet accelerated toward the unknown, carrying the hopes and fears of two ancient civilizations, one truth became crystal clear. The universe had a sense of humor as vast as its scale. And in the end, the most lethal species alive was not either of them individually, but what they could become together. The cosmic dance continued, and Earth and the Asterian Empire moved to its rhythm, forever changed by a conflict that began with a misunderstanding and ended with understanding. History would record it as the unintended alliance, the war that created a partnership, the destruction that birthed creation, and the moment when two species learned that survival in the cosmos required not just strength, but the wisdom to recognize allies and former enemies. The stars witnessed it all, pride broken, wisdom gained, and the first tentative steps towards something larger than either civilization had imagined. And so the combined fleet pressed onward into the cosmic unknown, carrying not just weapons and technology, but the harder-won treasures of mutual respect and shared purpose. The universe, vast and patient, watched another species pair learn its fundamental lesson. For in a cosmos that measured time in eons and distance in parsecs, the difference between enemy and ally was often just a matter of perspective, and survival demanded the flexibility to change that perspective when circumstances required. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But for the first time since that fateful first contact, Earth and the Asterian Empire faced them not as conquerors or targets, but as cautious partners in an endeavor larger than pride or prejudice. The journey beyond the known continued, as it always had and always would. The only real choice had been whether to face it alone or together.